Yoshi makes a stylish return to Nintendo consoles in Yoshi's Crafted World, a platformer that boasts an entirely homemade aesthetic. But Crafted World offers more than just the sight of Yoshi wrecking up his enemies in a rubber band-powered mech suit. It also sees the return of a bunch of long-running favourite characters from the series, both good and villainous, most of whom have backstories that began decades ago and, like so much of video game history, are as fascinating as they are super weird. Here are the origin stories for 7 Yoshi characters you'll meet in Crafted World. Shy Guy is perhaps the most famous Yoshi baddie of all, and returns once more in Yoshi's Crafted World in a number of varieties, all adorable and all fantastically easy for Yoshi to digest and turn into a throwable egg. Over the years, Shy Guy has become a fan favourite, and has made guest appearances in dozens of other games in the Mario universe, all this despite the fact that this waddling little enemy who wears an emotionless mask to hide its face only gets creepier the more you think about it. Shy Guy's fame in the Mario universe is even more unlikely, bearing in mind it's not even originally from a Yoshi or a Mario game. Shy Guy's first appearance was actually in 1987 in the Japan-only game Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic. If what you're seeing looks vaguely familiar and you can't figure out why, it's because that game was modified to be Mario-themed for its release in the West a year later, becoming Super Mario Bros. 2. Which explains why this Mario sequel doesn't really look or feel much like a Mario game at all. For example, to send a Shy Guy packing, jumping on it won't do the trick here. You have to throw something at it or hurl one into something else. Shy Guy wouldn't be back in the spotlight until 1995's Super Mario World 2, which fixed the character as a mainstay of the Yoshi games, paving the way for fame in the broader Mario universe. Despite so many appearances, to this day nobody ever gets to see what Shy Guy looks like behind the mask. Perhaps we're lucky though, I mean Luigi caught a glimpse once and looks to be forever changed by the experience. Man, why does this stuff always happen to Luigi? Yoshi's Crafted World is all about Yoshi and his dinosaur friends adventuring across the land to find 5 coloured gems of the Sundream Stone. It's basically adorable, which is good, because to begin with, Yoshi games were all about stolen children. Specifically, a stolen baby Mario and Luigi, who were snatched from a stalk at the start of Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, by none other than Kamek, a flying bespectacled wizard version of the famous Koopa turtle enemies that have been bothering Mario and chums for years and years. Although that was the first time we met Kamek, similar sorts of arcane baddies had been popping up for years by this point. For instance, consider the infuriating Magikoopa from 1990's Super Mario World, which would pop in from nowhere to shoot PlayStation icons at you. Albeit 4 years before the PlayStation was invented and missing the X, but nevertheless, to Nintendo fans of the 90s, this felt very shots fired, you know? And speaking of shots fired, behold another Kamek forebear in Yoshi's Safari. One of the few games that used the Super NES console's Super Scope light gun, and, fun fact, the first game in the West to refer to this character as Peach rather than Princess Toadstool. Or check out this sneaky pre-Kamek Magikoopa in a 1991 episode of the Super Mario World cartoon, in which he's called,
It's the most terrible Koopa wizard in the entire Dino world! Weisenheimer!
That's Wizenheimer!
Yeah, more like Wizen non-canon. Now an established part of the Yoshi universe, Kamek remains an especially nasty Koopa, and Yoshi's arch enemy, so it's no surprise to see him up to his old tricks in Crafted World. By which I mean trying to steal the Sundream gems, not kidnap infants. Those days seem to be over, thank God. It's odd to think that at some point somebody must have looked at Yoshi, the cutest little critter ever to grace video games, and thought, nope, not cute enough, let's add a mother flippin' dog. That dog is Poochy, who's back in Yoshi's Crafted World to melt your heart into a fleshy puddle. lending a paw by sniffing out secrets and ploughing through enemies, as well as showing off some ludicrously charming idle animations. I mean, for goodness sake. Like Kamek, the endearingly gormless Poochy first appeared in Mario World 2, with many of the same tricks that he's still pulling today, like ferrying you around otherwise impassable areas and doing a good job of following Yoshi, especially for a dog with no ears. But then, if you spend this much time frolicking in lava, you have to expect to lose a few extremities. Although Poochy is all smiles, you may be surprised to learn he has turned heel in the past, and is one of the enemies in 1996's Tetris Attack. Which is nothing like regular Tetris because, again, it's a reworking of an entirely different Japanese game. Also, don't feel too betrayed as Poochy was technically brainwashed into being a baddie in that game, and let's face it, we suspect he wouldn't be that hard to brainwash, bless him. In any case, there's nothing that should stop you enjoying the fact that when you apply a Poochy amiibo in Yoshi's Crafted World, you get a special Poochy costume to wear, with, and you might want to be sitting down for this, tiny wiggling legs. And heck, we haven't even mentioned the Poochy pups. Ow, my heart. Perhaps it's something about being a dinosaur, but Yoshi doesn't have a great relationship with small mammals. It's like these mousers know they're only one asteroid strike away from taking control of the planet. Well, not today, mousers. Another hot-blooded little menace that's been snapping at Yoshi's heels for many years is Monty Mole, a rotund burrowing baddie who's back once more in Yoshi's Crafted World. These days, Monty Mole's modus operandi is to pop out of the ground and sprint towards Yoshi with surprising speed, at which point Monty is often easily eaten and turned into eggs. This cute but useless battle strategy is quite surprising to see, especially when you consider the more sophisticated techniques deployed by Monty's ancestors. What looked a lot like Monty Mole's earliest appearance is in 1990's Mario Bros. 3, although here the moles work on airships, wear cool shades, and are known as rocky wrenches because of the way they hurl wrenches at you. Jeez. That's kind of full on, but nothing compared to the kind of hardware Monty would later get his small needle-like claws on. Consider his role as cannon operator in Mario Sunshine, and tank commander in New Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS. Considering the kind of explosive hardware he clearly has access to, it's possible that Monty Mole is trying to do us a favour by simply running around in Yoshi's Crafted World. In which case, cheers Monty, but we're still eating you. Here's a fun fact, the Yoshi games technically take place in the past. How would you possibly know? Well, simply take a look at recurring and returning villain Baby Bowser, who in Crafted World has teamed up with Kamek to get his claws on those gems we mentioned earlier. Now you might think that Baby Bowser is Bowser's child, which is an understandable thing to think, seeing as you often see this young Bowser hanging out with regular Bowser. But in fact, this little Bowser is not Baby Bowser, but Bowser Jr., and Baby Bowser is regular Bowser as seen in the past. Confused? Well, you can easily distinguish Bowser Jr. from the young version of his Dino Daddy by the fact that one of them has a mouth drawn on their bandana. I mean, how much clearer could it be? Baby Bowser is first seen right at the end of Yoshi's Island, where we discover that evil wizard Kamek resides in his castle and is rightfully terrified of his young ward throwing a temper tantrum. Seeing as Baby Mario here has come direct from the stalk, this is also likely the first time that Mario and Bowser ever met. I mean, talk about a playdate gone wrong. On the plus side, while Bowser is definitely a bad dude, this tantruming Godzilla baby does grow up to be a devoted father. Here he is configuring the parental controls of Bowser Jr.'s Switch. Although, before we go handing out any Father of the Year awards, in Mario Sunshine, Bowser does lie to Bowser Jr. and tell him that Peach is his mother.
Leave my mama alone, you bad man. I won't let you take Mama Peach away. Mama Peach?
Good job Bowser's a king, because this is sounding like an expensive amount of therapy.
I know, she's not really my mama.
Some of the enemies returning in Yoshi's Crafted World are more thought out than others. On the one hand, you've got Baby Bowser and the evil wizard Kamek, and then you've got, well, Blargg. That's Blargg with 2 G's, by the way. Better get it right, because Blargg definitely looks like the type to get annoyed about that sort of thing. Blargg is a pretty straightforward, gooey creature that returns in Crafted World to once more get in Yoshi's way. Not very effectively, however, as most Blarggs can simply be jumped over or chased back into the murky depths they emerged from by throwing an egg in their direction. Blargg's origin story, however, is a bit more complex, as outside of the Yoshi games, they look completely different, such as in Super Mario World, where they were first sighted looking like toothy lava dinosaurs. Then later in the 90s, Blarggs resurfaced, quite literally, in Yoshi's Story for the N64, but this time looking a bit blobbier, closer to how they appear in other Yoshi games, where they are sometimes called Nepa-nuts, and water-based rather than fire-based. As we see it, there are 2 possible explanations for the seemingly interchangeable and changing faces of Blarggs and Nepa-nuts. 1, nobody at Nintendo is that concerned with establishing a fixed taxonomy of goo monsters, or 2, because the Yoshi games are set in the past, this is how Blarggs used to look, but by the present, they've evolved into this. Of course, evolutionary changes like acquiring arms normally take millions of years, not the time it takes for Mario to turn from a baby into an adult. So, conclusion, Mario is millions of years old. Glad we got that all sorted out. Finally, how could we finish without exploring the origins of Yoshi's Crafted World's most famous and beloved returning character of all? We're talking, of course, about the Goonie Bird. Just kidding, we mean Yoshi, the cheerful dinosaur who loves helping his friends almost as much as he loves turning Shy Guys into eggs, hovering in midair and slamming his butt into the floor. To find Yoshi's first appearance, we must journey back to 1990's Super Mario World, where Yoshi appears as an optional mount that Mario can use to get around. According to that game's director, Takashi Tezuka, this happened because Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto had drawn a picture of Mario riding a horse and hung it up in the office. From this, Tezuka wisely inferred that Miyamoto wanted Mario to ride something in the new game. Originally, that was going to be a large crocodile-like lizard, but over several design refinements, Nintendo arrived at something recognisably Yoshi-shaped, and so the world's sweetest little dinosaur was born. Over the years, Yoshi popped up in plenty of spin-off games like the puzzle game Yoshi's Cookie, which the eagle-eyed will see lovingly referenced in Crafted World. Elsewhere, later games added different colour Yoshis and Boshi, or Washi in Japan, an evil counterpart to Yoshi in the mould of Wario and Waluigi, who appears in Super Mario RPG as an almost unbeatable racer, who you can tell has a bad attitude from his sunglasses and spiky collar. Hey, it was the 90s. So those were some of the weird origin stories for Yoshi characters returning in Crafted World. Who was your favourite? Shout in the comments, and if you found this video informative about things you never really needed to learn, why not consider subscribing for more? See you next time. We're off to look at pictures of kittens until we stop thinking about what's under Shy Guy's mask.